In today's Leeds news, Mahady Player of the Month nomination, January striking plans, pundit praise for Calvert-Lewin and difficulty attracting Gimenez. Hey folks, welcome back to the Leeds View Wednesday, the 10th of December with your Leeds United news. Hope you're all having a good week and getting ready for Christmas. It's rapidly approaching. Get your shopping done nice and early. There is a bit of stuff to get stuck into today, but just a few bits of updates. The podcast, an additional podcast, will be out tomorrow night, Thursday, as we have the additional day leading into the Brentford game. So we're going to do a bespoke Brentford preview on its own with the lads. Also, just to let you know, Daniel Farke's press conference will likely be tomorrow as well. We'll have the reaction to that over on bigup.com as we always do. And yesterday, if you're listening on an audio platform, you may have seen two files come out for us yesterday for the exact same podcast. We were switching networks and moving across to Sports Social, who we have signed with for a 12-month period to see if we can boost that side of our business, and we'll see how that one goes. But yeah, just a one-off. You won't see that regularly moving forward. We'll have it back to normal today. It should be, so fingers crossed. But we'll get stuck into today's news. There's a bit of stuff, and we'll start off with a Leeds United under-21 goalkeeper having a really good time on loan. Leeds on loan under-21 goalkeeper Rory Mahady's loan at Scunthorpe is going from strength to strength, and it's everything that you would want to get from a youth loan from your club. Mahady has extended his loan at Scunthorpe for an additional month, and so far since he's gone there, he's made his first senior appearance, he's saved his first senior penalty, he's kept his first senior clean sheet, and now the cherry on top, he has been nominated for Scunthorpe United's Player of the Month award for November. This season so far, of the 5 games he's been available for, he's played all 5 and started and finished them, clocking up 450 minutes. And from a rating perspective, he's sitting in on Sofa scores 7.26, which is not bad rating for a keeper at that level. Mahady is also still available to play for the Leeds United under-21 side as part of his youth loan, and could be involved in Leeds Premier League International Cup games this month, which will be very important for Scott Gardner's side, as well as they're having a really good run in that competition so far. But the under-21s are on a short mid-season break, if you want to call it that, right now. We'll be back in action pretty soon, but they will have those Premier League international games very shortly. It's great for Mahady. It's a really strong start to his senior career. He's only 18 years of age, and Leeds will want to make sure they can capitalise on this. As they always say, development isn't a linear process. There will be ups and downs, but he's a very young keeper with a very high ceiling right now. And Andy Cousins spoke on this channel not so long ago and said there were certain players in the Leeds United under-21s that needed to go out on loan and test themselves at senior level to see if they could make the breakthrough and push on over the next couple of years. This is a National League loan for him right now. You would hope the next one that he will go out on will be a League 2, League 1, but so far so good for him. Distribution's really good. His confidence is very good. He's a good communicator, very much a sweeper keeper, and those who have watched under-21s this season will have seen how good he is at this point, and he's still only, I believe, 19 years of age, so he has a long way to go just yet. But it is good to see that Leeds have a solid, good, developing young keeper in the ranks right now. Let's move on. Let's talk about Leeds' January striking plans. Over the past month or so, we've heard rumours of Leeds United being interested in several strikers coming in to the January windows. Players such as Troy Parrott, Promise David, Francolinho de Gio have all been linked with Leeds United over the past month or so. And according to a report today from the Yorkshire Post, speaking to former Blackburn scout Mick Brown, they claim the Leeds want to sign a top-class striker in January, and it's not the first time a report like this has come out in recent weeks. Brown claims that Leeds still want to add a striker despite the current form of Dominic Calvert-Lewin and Lucas Mecha. And speaking in the Yorkshire Post article, Brown said the following: "They want a top-class option to score them goals in the Premier League, but the only way they'll get one of those types of players is by spending big. If an opportunity comes up to bring somebody in for a reasonable price, I expect it's something that they'll look into, but it's going to be difficult." Leeds did say during the summer that they did want another striker. When Leeds were looking at bringing in Mecha and Calvert-Lewin, there were also conversations and even a post after the Mecha signing that it wasn't Leeds' main target in the striking area for the summer. Leeds were consistently linked with Rodrigo Munez at Fulham. They didn't get that done, but they were apparently putting money aside to try and get that one done over the course of the window. It didn't happen, but if Leeds stick with the two up top, then they will probably need another option. Joe Piroux has not been a very strong option for Leeds United this season, whether it's him or Daniel Farker or what's going on. He's not been particularly favoured in those top two striking roles, with Noah Okafor favoured against Liverpool. But when it comes to bringing a striker in January, it looks like Leeds' most obvious path will be to look for a loan signing, unless they've managed to find some money down the back of the sofa, or if players do go out of the club once the window opens. So we'll keep an eye on that one over the next week or two. It's going to be a busy one, I think, in terms of, if nothing else, rumours and speculation around the club until we see something happen. A lot of rumours saying Leeds will move early in the January market. But let's move on. Yesterday, it was a pundit not being so convinced about Leeds United. Today, it's one smothering praise on a Leeds United striker. BBC Radio 5 Live's Conor Cody has heaped praise on Leeds United striker Dominic Calvert-Lewin and has called him an outstanding player and a proven goal scorer at Premier League level. DCL so far this season now has got 4 goals, with 2 of them coming at Ellen Road at the Kop end. And Calvert-Lewin has now scored in 3 consecutive Premier League games for the first time since February 2021. And that season, he scored 16 goals for Everton. That was his career best season tally. Not a guarantee that he's going to do it again this season, but it's a nice strong metric to say he's moving in the right direction. But Cody says there is more to his game than just being a big man. I played with him at Everton and lucky enough to do so for England too. He's an outstanding footballer. People just think he's a big lad and he'll win you headers, but technically he's very, very good as well. You play the ball into his feet, he can set, he can spin, he can hold up the ball, he can get you up the pitch. At Everton, I never felt I needed a player more than when Calvert-Lewin wasn't playing. The team was built for him. I said his aerial ability wasn't the only part of his game, but it's a really strong part of his game. His leap is unbelievable. If they keep him fit, they'll have a right chance of survival. The keeping fit part is the number one and most prominent one in the front of all Leeds United fans' minds. The same also applies for Lucas Mecha. Both players coming to Leeds with a hefty injury CV, but both doing very well right now. And that might be why Leeds are looking and considering another striker in January, not just in case one of them gets injured, but as a player that can come in and rotate around in order to manage the minutes of both of them and keep them fit, sharp and healthy for the whole season. Neither of those two players have played the volume of minutes they're currently playing, and it will be important to keep them as fit and healthy as they can. With the extra load that's on them, especially with Lucas Mecha, hasn't played a huge amount of football, so with that load, injuries are likely, so Leeds need to do a good job of managing that. And to be fair, Daniel Farker called out the Leeds medical team as being Premier League level. They've done a fantastic job of keeping players fit and healthy over the last 2 seasons. So long may that continue, but maybe that's why Leeds are looking at another striking option, which brings us on to our next and final story of the day. One of those strikers who may not be coming to Leeds United is Santiago Gimenez, if reports are to be believed. Last week, Leeds United were linked with out-of-favour AC Milan striker Santiago Gimenez, but fresh reports today suggest that it will be a difficult one to get done, as his father has stepped in and kind of poured cold water over potential exit. Intermediaries of both Leeds United and West Ham are both reported to have reached out to AC Milan in order to figure out if a deal can be done, and reports last week suggested that AC Milan were open to a deal and potentially even a short-term one as well, but Gimenez camp have now pushed back on claims the player himself wants to leave the club. Milan are believed to be planning to bring in an additional striker in January, and reports in Italy suggest that they're actively pursuing several strikers in Italy, and the door could be open for an exit of Santiago Gimenez. But the striker's father is claiming that they don't want his son to leave the club, and the player himself is very happy with his situation at Milan. Speaking to the Vamos show on YouTube, his father said the following: Santi has great affection for Milan, so he's living a dream. Santi wants to stay at Milan. This is an important club where he must perform at the maximum level. He is happy here, as we had many proposals from Saudi Arabia and more in the summer, but when Milan arrived, he said he only wanted to go there. There's a clear sticking point and crossroads now in this situation, with the club appeared to be open to an exit of the player, but the player himself and his camp seem very happy to sit exactly where they are, and the January window doesn't help it from a Leeds United perspective either. The limited time on that window, Leeds will not want to waste time on somebody who ultimately doesn't want to leave the club he's at, and over a 4 or 5 week period can just sit on his hands and wait this one out. Leeds need to make their moves in January early and have to be effective as they can in this window and sitting around waiting for a player to decide whether he does or doesn't want to leave a club, even on a short-term deal, doesn't help Leeds United's situation. So they're better off spending their time and their money on a player who is at least more open to discussing a potential move away from the club. Santiago Gimenez is also said by his father to be an AC Milan fan and wore shirts as a kid, so there's a lot of connections there for the player. He might want to just sit things out at Milan, and it's, Allegri's there right now, but managers change very quickly at AC Milan, so he might want to just sit out the manager in this situation. But that's one player we'll keep an eye on. Could be writing him off. Had a great time when he was with Arne Slot at Feyenoord. Not so good since he's moved to AC Milan. He doesn't really fit the style of play that Allegri plays, and he doesn't fit possibly the Italian side of football either, or at least needs to develop a little bit more. But we'll keep an eye on it. There's more strikers. Again, Parrott keeps popping up, and he scored again at the weekend. We'll see how we get on with that one. There will be a January special over the next week or so as well. We're going to have a look at potential incomings and potential outgoings at the club, and also what Leeds United likely need to try and kick on in the second half of the season. And then, tomorrow night podcast will be out, as I say myself and Paul. We're having a chat and look ahead to the Brentford game, as well as the press conference reaction over on bigup.com if you want to check that out. If you're watching on YouTube, give us a like, give us a share, and give us a hype if you can. And if you're listening on audio platform, give us a channel rating, as well as sticking a comment there in the comment sections on the audio platforms as well. Outside that, folks, have a great rest of your day. I will see you tomorrow morning for more Leeds news. See you later. Bye.